Hello fellow YouTube friends, followers, fools and flabbergastas, my name is Mason. It's time for another easy PvE build guide. Today I want to give you an update on the condition Mechanist build for Gently Wilds. As always, we'll cover a simple DPS build rotation and then make adjustments for open world to make your life easier. And on both builds we'll make use of the new spear weapon that was introduced with the expansion. I'll note though that if you don't have the expansion, you can still use the old condition Mechanist build just fine, it didn't change. If you want more detailed info on the build, I put a link to the written guides down underneath the video. Now, as I said before, there are two variants of this build you can play. The variant with dual pistols is ranged and does less damage, while the other with spear is melee, even though you can always camp grenade kit for a range on demand. They both follow the same rotation concept, and you can carry both weapon sets at the same time, so it's easy to adapt to both of them. But since you cannot weapon swap on Mechanist, you have to decide prior to engaging combat which one you want to use. If you want to make the builds even easier, you can replace any of the kits listed below with flame turret. This will make the builds more straightforward but cost like 2 to 3k DPS. But let's dive into the rotation. We're going to make use of J-Drive. This makes your signets retain their passes while they are on cooldown. This might seem lackluster at first, but it is very strong, especially considering the passive effects they have, like 12% condition damage on the superconducting signet. That's also why I should use superconducting signet and overclock signet on cooldown, since it does not have a trade-off anymore. The rotation concept is very simple. The most important combo on Spear is to pair Conduit Surge and Shrapnel Grenade. They share the same cooldown length of 5 seconds, which is very convenient. So every time you use Conduit Surge, go into Grenade Kit and use Shrapnel Grenade. It's not a big deal if you forget it from time to time, it's still DPS increase even if you do it every second time. And then whenever you're in Grenade Kit, use Freeze Grenade and Poison Grenade every time they're available. Now make sure to use Conduit Surge every 10 seconds on the right target to maintain the focus on that target. This makes all your other spear skills more powerful against the focused target. Additionally, you want to use Lightning Rod and Electric Artillery as well as Devastator on cooldown. Keep in mind that both Conduit Surge and Devastator are movement abilities. This gives you quite a bit of mobility but can also cause problems. Yay! Using Conduit Surge on cooldown ensures that you maintain thermal vision with a single skill, which is one of the advantages of running spear over dual pistols. A great side effect of using J-Drive is that you can use Shift Signet on cooldown without a drawback. Shift Signet is an awesome mobility tool that also cleanses condis and breaks stuns. It's basically a free get out of jail card every 20 seconds, so use it to your advantage and to position yourself and the mech. You can always set the first two mech skills to auto attack mode so that your mech uses them on cooldown. I don't recommend doing that with Sky Circus to keep the capability to deal Defiance Bar damage on demand, as the CC output of the build is low otherwise. In terms of CC skills you have, as I said, Sky Circus, you have Lightning Rod via the mech skill Rocket Punch, and Roiling Sky, so spear skill number 4. Right, that's it. The rotation is really simple and very effective. Condi Mechanist is as strong as it's ever been, and the additional mobility from using spear feels great in actual content. Now let's look at how we can adjust this to open world to make your life easier over there. Because for open world it can make sense to make a build more forgiving so that you can sustain on your own. In terms of gear, you can always swap pieces of Vipers out for Ritualists or Celestial 1-to-1. If you decide to do that, start with the larger pieces, the weapons, chest or the amulet. The reason I say that first is that Mechanist benefits greatly from using Celestial gear, more so than many other builds. That is because it includes strong healing power coefficients on the barrier skills and healing turret, but has fairly low passive healing. Celestial is the only prefix that gives condition damage, expertise, concentration and healing power, making it a very good choice here. Note that the build will work just fine with Ritualist's gear, which you can also use to make it a very good provider of group alacrity in instance content. Just find the spot between the three gear options that makes it comfortable for you. Just like for instance content, we will make use of Spear for open world as the primary weapon. While it is melee, it has some really nice synergies with a bunch of engineer traits as well as strong mobility, making it an excellent tool for open world. As I said before, both Devastator and Conduit Surge are mobility skills. Conduit Surge also refreshes whenever you kill your focused target, allowing you to quickly move from mob to mob. This gives it a Deadeye kind of feel. In order to understand the synergies I mentioned earlier, we need to take a look at the auto attack chain. The auto attack chain on Spear applies both bleeding and vulnerability on every hit. The bleeding makes up for a very nice synergy with Sanguine Era in firearms, as it will apply might on every auto attack. This, covering 25 vulnerability and a fairly low number of explosions in the kit on Spear, makes the trait line Explosive somewhat redundant, since the only major damage gain in it comes from Shrapnel. Since we're not using any kit in open world, Shrapnel isn't really required. That is why we'll swap out Explosives for Alchemy. That increases the build's survivability and also the utility quite a bit. The two major traits of interest in alchemy are compounding chemicals and iron-blooded. Compounding chemicals synergizes very well with Sanguine Array because every time you apply a boon to yourself, you will heal. Since Sanguine Array applies a lot of might stacks to you and it triggers on every might stack, you will heal for quite a bit. And with a number of boons that this build can maintain on itself, the trait Iron-blooded becomes very strong. Speaking of boons, this build is a complete boon machine, since it covers all boons in the game aside from resistance with a very good uptime on itself. The more pieces of Ritualist or Celestial gear you have, the easier it becomes. It shares many of the boons in an area too. Compounding chemicals gives you additional 240 concentration, making boon coverage even easier. Let's go through the boons one by one. Might is covered by the trait Sanguine Array and the trait High Impact Drivers in Mechanist. Fury is fully covered by Boiling Point in Alchemy. The nice thing about this build is that even in this open world variant you do share Alacrity in an area. It is covered by Barrier Signet and Crisis Zone, so your max skill number 2. You won't reach a full uptime on it, but it's at least over 80%, which is really nice to have. Next up, Quickness. Quickness is covered by Elixir U and Mechcore Jade Dynamo in Mechanist. Elixir U also gives you a partial uptime on Vigor and Stability, which is nice to have. One of the only downsides of the build is that it doesn't fully cover protection on itself. If you want to achieve that, you can use the Relic of Durability, for example, but it's usually not required anyway. Last but not least, talk about how to deal with incoming conditions and control effects. The heal skill Healing Turret will convert conditions on you into boons via the trait Transmute in Alchemy. You have a total of 3 stun breaks in the kit: Elixir U, Shift Signet and Crisis Zone. Crisis Zone and Elixir U also apply stability to you, so they do not only break stuns but also prevent incoming CC afterwards. Alright, that's it for today. I hope this video was insightful for you and made you want to try Conti Spear Mechanist. Feel free to like and subscribe for the YouTube algorithm. See you next time and happy electrocuting.